Have you been let down recently by some spiritual leaders, whether you know them personally or you know them at a distance? Some people that you've looked up to, admired, maybe you wanted to be like, you got their teaching, maybe their book, you listen to the music, I don't know, whatever it may be. And it turns out who you thought they were is maybe not exactly who they were. They've let you down in some way. This is Word Made Digital tutorial. We're going to talk about what to do when your spiritual leaders let you down. Hey my friends, welcome to Word Made Digital tutorials. This is maybe the tutorial I didn't want to make or wasn't sure if I should make, but I've been having so many of these conversations with people like you. Maybe you watching this, you and I have talked about this, or you've DM'd me about it and asked me what to do because you feel like you don't know where to go to church, you don't know if you should go to any church, you don't want to go to church, or you've just been let down more than one time in many cases by pastors or spiritual leaders in your life. I mean, many people who our generation, I say our, whoever old you are, people who are living now have looked up to people for me like Ravi Zacharias, or maybe it's the Carl Lentz and the Brian Houston direction, or, maybe I won't keep naming the names, but we all have names of people who have really disappointed us, whether we know them personally or just at a distance. And so what do we do with that? Well, the first thing I want to remind you of is that Jesus knows it really well, and he gets what you're going through. I don't want you to miss that. I don't want that to feel like a cliche thing. The only God in, major religions that came in human form to be with us, suffer amongst the human condition with us. He was betrayed by one of his closest followers, one of his dearest people in ministry, betrayed him to death. And then, not to mention all the religious leaders who Jesus was trying to connect with and call out to see differently, a new way of life. They were so caught up in their own stuff or their love of money or their love of power or whatever, they couldn't see. And either directly or indirectly, they led him to his death. Jesus knows what it is for spiritual leaders to let you down. And I don't want that to sound cliche. I want that to be something that allows you to talk to Jesus about what you're going through, because he is a God who knows it for himself deeply and personally, and he would love to talk to you about it, even if all you can say is, help me, or what do I do now? That's a prayer too. Second thing I would say, if you aren't already doing it, is talk to trusted people. Are there some friends in your life who you can talk to about this, trying to unravel and process what was good about this leadership experience and what needs to be now thrown away? It's often all knitted together and needs some time and some work and some talk to work it out. So maybe actually for a lot of people, you need some professional therapy. I encourage you to do it. You're not crazy. You're not overreacting to do it. If you want to talk this out so that it doesn't become like a root of bitterness in you, so that you don't go wandering for the next many years of your life, my encouragement to you who is watching and many friends who we've talked about this, get help. Whether that help is from friends or help is professional, whatever you need, make sure you're talking about this in safe, trusted places. That's what they're there for. The next thing I want to say is a hard one. And again, not trying to be cliche, but trying to be like Jesus. The word is forgive. I know that isn't easy. I know that isn't a way to brush over what has been done. But how much we have been forgiven, so then we can forgive others. That doesn't mean we have to be back in relationship with those people. There are still consequences for actions and broken trust. That's not what I'm saying. You have to go do that right away if it's not a safe thing. But would you work out what it means to forgive? Because we've all heard that expression, unforgiveness is drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Or punching yourself in the face when you think you're punching them, or whatever it is. The point is, unforgiveness can become this very ugly thing within us. And so I pray that by the power of God's Spirit, you would be able to learn, and I say this to myself too, that we all would learn what it is to forgive, that Jesus, by his power, by his help, would help us to forgive these other human beings who have harmed us, hurt us, or, put put others we love in harm's way, or, made something we love, like a church community, fall apart. I pray that you would have the ability, through Jesus' help, not your own, to day by day work out what it is to forgive. Okay, these last few ideas, I want to get very practical and tangible with you. An idea I would suggest to you, if you're feeling like you don't know what to do, you don't know who to trust, you've been let down too many times by Christian leaders, read a missionary biography. These stories of these great heroes of the faith who have gone before. Some of them are not that old, like just from the last few decades, and some of them you can go back way in church history and read inspiring stories. So here's a few. God Smuggler it's a story about Brother Andrew. He smuggled Bibles into communist territory. Amazing story. The Hiding Place by Corrie ten Boom. This is a woman who hid Jews in Holland during World War II. I actually just went to the house and saw the hiding place in her home. She went to concentration camps as a result of that. Most of her family died as a result of their work. It's an amazing, inspiring story of what God has done and how he used her life. Also, the story No Compromise, the story of Keith Green. He was like a worship leader and songwriter in the 80s, and he led a radical life for Jesus and then died tragically in a helicopter accident. And the last one I'll say is The Heavenly Man, which is a story about Brother Yun in China, persecuted church. These stories of missionaries getting an idea of what God has done in history and what he's doing around the world. May it inspire you. May it reignite something in you. May it remind you that not all is lost, that we've been through hard times before, that we'll go through them again in the future, but that God as our anchor is with us, and that there are people that we can look to learn how to live our lives like. Not perfect. No, none of these people are perfect, but they are inspiring examples of what it is to lead like Jesus. Next, I would love you to be in a church. If you feel like the church you've been part of is not the place you're going to be part of in the future for lots of reasons, like some of us have just moved a bunch in the pandemic, then I want to encourage you to find a new church. Find a Christian community that you gather with regularly, that is weekly, I hope. We have this throughout 2,000 years of church history. There's nothing new under the sun. It works, and it's a vital part of the Christian life. So, look for nothing perfect, but look for a church that does teach out of the Bible and talks about Jesus. I want you to try and find a church that serves the community, that does some work of outside of its own walls in the name of justice and bringing mercy to others. And I would like to encourage you to ask them, or try and find where you can on their website, what do they do if something like an abuse allegation came forward in their church? What have they done with that in the past, or what would they do? What are their policies and procedures to keep people safe in their church community? I want you to pay attention to that. And maybe the last thing would be, in a church that you're looking for, is to find a place where people can serve, where you can serve, where you can get involved. It's not just about a few professionals doing everything and being the heroes, but that all of us can get involved using our gifts to serve the church. The last thing I'll leave you with is a little bonus tip for you to try, something that I've been doing lately myself. What is music from a time where you felt close to God, where you felt connected and inspired in church, where maybe you made some declarations and promises, probably maybe from your earlier days? Go back and listen to music from that era, whether it's hymns, praise songs, it's Michael W. Smith, or Shine Jesus Shine, it's Shout to the Lord, Darlene Zschech, whatever it is, it's music from 2014, it doesn't matter, but go back and listen to music that you prayed and sang to God and meant it. And he remembers those prayers that you prayed and sang. Would you remember them too? Would you remember, as you work left brain, right brain? It's that science of logic and emotion that happens in music. It's why people with dementia and Alzheimer's sometimes can remember and come alive when they hear music from their past. It's because it connects some other part of our brain. So I encourage you, as an act of prayer and worship, when maybe you don't know what else to do or say, to go back and listen to some of those old songs. May it be an encouragement for you to remember to look at Jesus, be with Jesus, and then go a bit bigger, look smaller and then look bigger, smaller to Christ and bigger to what God has done in the world over time, over history, and through the nations. Be inspired by that He is still working as you work out pain, suffering, struggle, betrayal, and forgiveness. This tutorial has been brought to us by Compassion, because Compassion Canada loves the local church and works with the local church. We've been partnering the whole month of June with Compassion, with a church of just 40 people in northern Thailand, a small but mighty church. You want to look to see some good going on in the world? This church of 40 serves 400 kids and youth, and we're trying to help them raise $4,000 to build a sports and learning center so that these kids who are living in extreme poverty and have no access to anything to build their future, to build their education, to dream of something more, they don't have anything like that. It would mean so much if you would give today. I've given. If you would give, if you're looking for a way to get less jaded, give. Give and think about somebody else instead of just our own problems. You can go to compassion.ca/WMD. It would mean so much if you wanted to contribute to what God is doing around the world, because Compassion, Word Made Digital, we love the church, and Jesus still is not just good news. He is the best news in the world. My friends, don't lose sight of that. If you want to chat more, send me a DM. Would love to pray for you. Would love to chat further beyond what can be captured in this short video. Much love.